Welcome. Today, we are diving deep into the world of one of the planet's most brilliant and, frankly, bizarre creatures, the octopus. This is an animal so strange, so otherworldly, that it makes us ask some pretty wild questions.
And let's just start with the biggest one right out of the gate. It sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but this question has been asked in all seriousness. Is it possible the octopus isn't from Earth at all?
You heard that right. A paper written by 33 authors and published in a peer-reviewed journal actually put forward the idea that the great evolutionary burst of life on Earth might have been kickstarted by something from space, maybe even frozen octopus eggs that hitched a ride on a meteor and thawed out in our oceans.
Okay, let's be crystal clear about this. That is a very fringe theory. Mainstream science has overwhelmingly said no. There's just no hard evidence, and the octopus's genetic history plants it firmly on Earth's family tree.
So, the real story here isn't the alien theory itself. The real story is why. Why is the octopus so profoundly weird that a group of scientists would even come up with such an idea in the first place? That's what we're going to unpack. To really get the octopus, you have to understand the terrifying problem it had to solve. You see, it's a soft, squishy, vulnerable creature in an ocean just full of sharp teeth. It had to figure out how to survive after giving up its only real defense. Its ancient ancestors were basically simple snails or clams, hiding inside a heavy shell. But when faster, smarter fish predators showed up on the scene, that shell went from being a fortress to a prison. So the octopus lineage made a wild evolutionary gamble. They ditched the armor in exchange for speed, flexibility, and a totally new way of living. Now, the immediate consequence of that choice was, well, being incredibly vulnerable. I mean, with no bones and no shell, the octopus is basically a swimming protein shake. It is on the menu for almost every major predator out there: sharks, dolphins, seals, you name it. By all rights, this should have been an evolutionary dead end. But it wasn't. Not even close. Because in giving up that shell, the octopus was forced to evolve an absolutely incredible arsenal of superpowers. It turned its greatest weakness into its greatest strength. So its first line of defense is its skin, which is like a biological high-definition screen. It's got 3 layers of specialized cells working together. You've got chromatophores, which are little sacs of color that it can flex like muscles. Then there are iridophores, which act like tiny mirrors reflecting the light around it. And finally, leucophores, which provide a weight base coat, kind of like a painter's canvas, for true color matching. With this system, it can change its color, its pattern, and even its physical texture in the blink of an eye to perfectly mimic a rock or a patch of seaweed. But here's the unbelievable twist. Scientists discovered the octopus is completely colorblind. So how on earth does it know what colors to match? Okay, the answer to this is one of the most mind-bending ideas in all of biology. The octopus doesn't just see with its eyes. Its skin is literally covered in the same light-detecting proteins called opsins that are in its eyeballs. So in a very real sense, its skin can see light and color all by itself, completely bypassing the brain to create a perfect camouflage. Now, if the camouflage fails, it's got another trick up its sleeve: ink. And this is way more than just a simple smokescreen. The ink has melanin for that dark color, sure, but it's mixed with a thick mucus that holds its shape, creating a decoy ghost octopus to confuse the attacker. And to top it all off, it contains a chemical that irritates a predator's eyes and totally messes with their sense of smell. And for that final escape, it sucks water into its body and fires it out a siphon, rocketing away from danger with some seriously impressive jet propulsion. But all of that, the camouflage, the ink, the jetting away, that's just the opening act. The octopus's true superpower, the thing that really makes it feel alien, is its intelligence. And it's organized in a way that is just completely different from us. Think about this number for a second: 500 million. That's roughly how many neurons an octopus has. That puts it right up there in the same league as a dog. But it's where those neurons are located that changes absolutely everything.
You see, unlike us, where our intelligence is all packed into our skulls, the octopus is totally decentralized. A full 2/3 of its neurons aren't in its central brain at all. They're spread out through its 8 arms. The best way to think about it is like this. The central brain is the CEO. It makes the big picture decisions, like, hey, let's go find some food over there. Each arm then acts like its own independent manager, with its own mini-brain. The arm figures out all the details: how to move, what it's feeling, what it's tasting, how to grab something, all on its own, without having to check in with headquarters. Each arm can literally think for itself.
And his distributed intelligence leads to some just astounding behaviors. In labs, they solve mazes, they open screw-top jars. In the wild, they've been seen carrying around coconut shells to use as portable shelters later. They can recognize individual humans and have even been known to take a dislike to certain people and squirt water at them. And maybe most amazing of all, for a solitary animal, they can learn how to do things just by watching another octopus do it first.
So a creature this intelligent, this resourceful, you'd expect it to rule the oceans for decades, right? Well, this is where the story of the octopus takes a sharp, tragic turn. It pays a terrible price for its brilliance. Its life is short, dramatic, and programmed for self-sacrifice.
Biologists have a name for this kind of life strategy. It's called semilparous, and it basically means you live, you reproduce one single time, and then you die. It's a brutal but effective life cycle.
Here's how it plays out. After mating, the male's life is pretty much over. He goes into a rapid decline, he stops eating, and within a few weeks or months, he dies. The female? She finds a safe den to lay her tens of thousands of eggs, and for months, she guards them. She never leaves, she never eats, she just gently wafts water over them to keep them clean. And then, the moment the last of her babies hatches, her job is done. A biological switch flips, her body begins to self-destruct, and she dies, having given everything for a generation she will never, ever know.
And this, really, is what the octopus teaches us. We tend to think of intelligence as this crown of superiority, right? The pinnacle of evolution. But the octopus tells a completely different story. Its mind isn't a luxury. It's a desperate tool for survival, a weapon that was forged only when every other defense was stripped away. It had to become smart because it had no other choice. It traded its shell for a brain.
And that, of course, brings it all back to us. Our intelligence was our superpower, the thing that allowed a small, vulnerable primate to survive out in the savannah. But the octopus uses its genius only to survive. We've used ours to change the entire planet, and so this strange, alien-like mind from the deep leaves us with one last lingering question. What is our responsibility for an intelligence that was born from desperation, but is now powerful enough to shape the world?